Imagine if there were places that were so top secret that if you attempted to go, you'd be killed on the spot. Well, no need to imagine, because they actually really exist. And today I'm gonna break down some of the world's most top secret locations that you cannot go to, even if you wanted to, even if you're super adventurous, because you die. So I guess you can technically go, but you'd probably be killed. Let's get into it. So the first one we're talking about, which you probably heard about before, especially if you're into aliens at all, is Area 51. If you have heard of this, you most likely associate it with aliens. There's a lot of weird shit going on there. It's located in Rachel, Nevada, which is basically the middle of nowhere, Nevada. Technically a detachment of something called Edwards Air Force Base. So it's kind of like an offshoot of the Air Force. Excuse me. It's so top secret though, its existence was completely denied by the US government up until 2013. So that's basically like, we've only known the official existence of Area 51 for the past decade, which is pretty wild to think about because it's been operating for years before that. And the creepiest part of Area 51 is that nobody knows what's going on there at all. Like I said, most people associate it with aliens or supernatural spacecraft stuff, etc. But we can't know for certain what has happened or is happening in Area 51. What we do know is that where it's located, which I said, Rachel, Nevada, and that it was built in 1955 as part of the Nevada Test and Training Range Complex by none other than Lockheed Martin. If you haven't heard of Lockheed Martin, they're basically involved in all things war, weapons, mass destruction. So I feel like if they're involved in it, it's probably gonna be a little bit shady. Don't come for me. It was built, Area 51 was built as a test facility for the U-2 spy plane, not U-2, the band, the type of plane. You can absolutely not visit, and if you try, well, you'll probably be killed. And Area 51 has actually put out a statement as to what's going on there that says, quote, "For operational security reasons, we do not provide detailed information regarding what takes place in the facility." And that is really sketchy. And they also say that they are able to use deadly force if necessary if someone does try to trespass. So just don't try. The most believed theory about what's going on in Area 51 is that it houses a spacecraft / possibly aliens and human bodies that crashed in Roswell, New Mexico in 1947. So they think that they have all this information about the actual crash, which many people believe the government tried to cover up when in fact it was extraterrestrial. So I don't know if that's there, but that's the gossip on the street. The biggest thing that confirmed all of these rumors and conspiracy theories, etc., is a guy named Bob Lazar, and he's been on the Joe Rogan podcast a bunch. You can go listen to the episodes because they're pretty mind-blowing. He actually came out and said this in 1989. He said that he was contracted to work in Area 51, and he was specifically tasked with reverse engineering an alien spacecraft. And if you listen to his testimony, he's talked about it, like I said, on the Joe Rogan podcast, he's written about it, but he gives very specific details as to the type of aircraft that he had to reverse engineer. He basically explains that there's no way it was not of alien origin. It was just totally foreign and super advanced. He doesn't believe it's something that the US government was capable of making. He believes it was given to the US by extraterrestrials. And that kind of the US government may be working hand in hand with aliens to create advanced aircraft, which is really crazy to think about, but also kind of cool and also kind of scary. Obviously, I cannot tell you if Bob Lazar is 100% telling the truth or not. What he says sounds very convincing though. It doesn't seem like he has a big incentive to lie, especially because he says the whole thing's made him very anxious. He's went through hell and back with his family and, you know, government people reaching out to him. So it's kind of a risky move to come out and say that, but go check it out, listen to it if you are interested, and let me know if you think that there are aliens in Area 51. Just don't try to break in and look at those aliens because you will die. Number 2, we're talking about the Svalbard Global Seed Vault. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but it's also known as the Doomsday Vault. So this vault is located deep inside a snowy mountain between Norway and the North Pole. So again, this is somewhere that's in the middle of nowhere. So this vault is massive. If you actually Google it, Svalbard's seed vault, you will see, you can take a virtual tour of it. And it's really creepy because it is basically, you just see this massive snowy mountain. You see this little part, this like metal doorway almost that's jutting out of the mountain. And that is the entrance of the seed vault. But when you take the tour, you realize that it goes super far back all the way into the mountain, and that there's all these like weird empty rooms and a shit ton of security. And what it's housing is seeds from all around the world that could essentially be used if there was some sort of like world catastrophe, if everything went to shit and we had no more source of food or vegetation or anything to live. They could basically all be grown if you took the seeds inside that seed vault. And that's why it's known as the Doomsday Vault, because there's a zombie apocalypse. I know where I'm headed. I'm gonna try to break in that bitch. Except I'm not gonna try to do it if there's not a zombie apocalypse, because you will probably be killed. Again, another theme going on with these. Just don't try to go. The security is insane. You can also only access the vault by snowmobile or aircraft. So you definitely can't just walk on up. You can't drive. It is so snowy. It is like in one of the coldest places in the world. And again, it's heavily guarded and armed. And these doors are like, I don't know why you'd want to work there. It's like in the middle of nowhere. It's so gloomy. It's so snowy. It's sketchy. It honestly sounds like a miserable job. I don't know if people work there. I'm assuming it has guards 24/7 and then scientists who come in and out, I guess, to check the seeds. It actually has 960,000 varieties of food crops, again, from around the world. And like I said, these seeds could grow everything. 1 million different types of seeds. It's a lot of different types of food. It's kind of like, think of like Noah's Ark, and you know, Noah and all the animals got in the ship and then they rode out the end of the world, the falling of the world, and then they just appeared and it was Noah and his animals kind of restarted it. So think of the seed vault as a modern day Noah's Ark kind of thing, but minus the animals and just a lot of seeds. Okay, number 3, this one's wild to me. It is the North Sentinel Island. And the North Sentinel Island is the most secluded, top secret island in the entire world. And it is inhabited by the most isolated tribe in the world, known as the Sentinelese. I guess people don't know for sure exactly what they're called, but they live on the Sentinel Island, so I guess scientists are guessing they're named the Sentinelese. They have lived there and inhabited this island for the past 60,000 years. So this goes way back, way, way, way back. And they are very primitive. They've never been exposed to people outside of themselves. So even if we were to go there, we could transfer diseases to them. They could transfer diseases to us. It would just be a total shit show. So don't try to go to Sentinel Island, not just for that reason, but also because it is heavily guarded. It is strictly prohibited. It's actually one of the Andaman Islands, which belongs to India, and the government of India basically has, you know, people on patrol all the time guarding this island, and they've put out statements saying there is no way in hell you can go there. If you do try to go there, if the government doesn't kill you, then the Sentinelese will probably kill you. Again, they are so isolated and so unfamiliar with any type of other cultures or people, etc. They're not going to be happy with you just washing up on their island that they've inhabited for 60,000 years. So in 2018, a guy, actually an American named John Allen Chow, he was obsessed with this island, like for years, and he decided to risk it and visit the island, which again, I just feel like this is the pattern now. You don't do that because you're going to, well, be killed. And sadly, John was killed. Okay, so what happened with John is that he bribed / hired a local fisherman to take him to the island in the middle of the night when there was less patrol out, and he got to the island and he landed there. He was shot at, I believe, with bows and arrows. There's like a whole documentary on this guy if you want to watch it. John Allen Chow. I'm sorry, I don't know if I'm saying it wrong. He was shot at, he went back on his boat and tried to hide, then this guy's ballsy. He came back to the island, thought he could make peace with the people, the Sentinelese, and sadly, he was killed. And again, this is why you don't try to visit North Sentinel Island or the Seed Vault or Area 51, just don't do it. But it is very fascinating to think about. There are some aerial views of the island. I mean, it looks beautiful, but if you want to get away, maybe just go to the Bahamas. Next, we are talking about a secluded area that is already in a secluded area. And what I mean by that is we are talking about something called Room 39 in North Korea. So I'm pretty sure you know that North Korea is like totally off limits. There's a few tours you can take that basically start in China and they'll take you, it's like a government tour through North Korea, and they put on this like like facade, and they only show you specific areas and you're only allowed to interact with certain people. Even those tours have had issues. A few years back, there was an American who was basically convicted of stealing a flag or a piece of art while on one of those tours, and then he was killed in North Korea. So nobody knows if he did actually steal it or if it was a setup, but basically visiting North Korea is super dangerous. Even if you are in one of these government tours, I wouldn't go, even though I'm fascinated by it. So North Korea is already super secluded, super top secret. And then once you're in North Korea, there is a room known as Room 39 that is super off limits unless you're a part of Kim Jong-un and the family. So Room 39 is known as a North Korean government facility that's said to be the center of several illegal operations in North Korea, including counterfeiting $100 bills, international insurance fraud, and drugs. So Kim Jong-un is getting wild in Room 39, sounds like. Again, don't try to go there, please. I don't think anyone would, but it's located on the 3rd floor of the Korean Workers' Party's headquarters in Pyongyang, the capital. And it was just funny that people know where it is, but everyone knows, like, you're not going in Room 39. Kim Jong-un has continued his father and his predecessors' practice of basically rewarding himself and his loyalists with things like drugs, alcohol, money, etc. People think it's like this whole money laundering operation. His sister and her husband now oversee the room, and basically people say that Room 39 is a major reason why Kim Jong-un has continued in power, because it enables him to buy political support and funds and nuclear weapons. So it's this whole legal thing. There has been some US intelligence on Room 39. Don't know a ton. We just know something illegal is going on there, and it is definitely locked down, top secret. There's no way in hell, even if you lived in North Korea, you'd get in that room. If you tried to get in that room, you'd 100% be killed. This is one that I would 100%, 100 million percent stay away from. Last but not least, we are talking about Poglia, Italy, which is terrifying in my opinion. This is one of the creepiest one out of all of these. It is known as Italy's best kept secret, and by best I mean the absolute worst. It's interesting because Poglia is an island that's less than half a mile outside of Venice, which is crazy to think about because Venice is like a top tourist location. I've been there, it's beautiful, and half a mile isn't that far, but it's this island that is prohibited, top secret, cannot go. I'll tell you why. It's really scary. In the past, Poglia was used as a plague quarantine station. So people who had the plague were basically sent there and just died on the island. They were just like, hey, we don't want to deal with you. We don't want the plague spreading. So you're going to go to Poglia, chill on the island, and then die. And it was home to 160,000 infected people. So, and it's a small island. So they're just like on top of each other, dying, super sick. Just sounds like a nightmare or something right out of a horror movie, in my opinion. What's creepy is that, I mean, that's already creepy, but apparently the soil on Poglia is made up of more than 50% human remains because of all the death that's taken place on the island. And what's even better is that in 1922, a mental hospital opened on the island, which is like, hey, what's something we could do that's more extreme than like throw everyone with the plague on an island? Let's open a mental institution. It's not funny, but it's just like, how much worse can it get? I don't know. The myths go that doctors and the staff at the mental hospital were torturing, hurting, really neglecting the patients. So again, perfect setup for a horror movie. Those people also died on the island. The soil is made up a lot of deceased bodies, and you cannot go, like I said, strictly prohibited, strictly off limits, and it's probably a good thing, to be honest, because I don't know why you'd ever want to go there. I mean, I'd maybe look at it from far away, maybe see like an aerial view, but I'm not trying to touch down in that place because there's going to be some creepy shit that follows you home, in my opinion. All right, so let me know what you think is the creepiest top scary location. All of them kind of do it for me, but I guess Poglia is really terrifying, to be honest. And also it'd be terrifying to be caught in Room 39 in North Korea because you know you're gonna be tortured and killed. Okay, talk to you guys soon. Bye.